Battlefront 2 Star Wars, the game.
Oh!
It's gotten new content. And honestly, it's actually really cool. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this today because Star Wars Battlefront 2, I'm going to make a brazen statement here, is how you come back from a failure well.
Bold move.
Because Star Wars Battlefront 2 sold very well. So in that financial terms, it was not a failure. But in terms of public reception, in terms of sense of pride and accomplishment comments on Reddit and getting the most downvoted Reddit comment in all of history, by the way. They won the Guinness Book of World Records record for that.
Well, that's something.
Most downvoted comment in all of history. People were pissed. The game was riddled with microtransactions. It was not complete at all. It had a good single-player story mode, and that's about it at launch. Totally just nothing there. And they've managed to bounce back. I really think that there aren't as many people on the game as there could be. You know, if it had just been smooth sailing the whole way, it would have a healthier, more robust player base still. But this is a game you can now pick up for $20.
Or less. There's a lot of sales for it, to be honest, for less.
Yeah. And it has all of this free content. And so just some of the free content that's come in this last drop I wanted to go over real quick. There's an instant action mode with several planets where you play on you're pretty much doing the original Battlefront objectives of capturing command posts in single player style, taking out AI, going in, capture their command post, you move on to the next one, come back to yours if it's taken. It's really like harkening back to that, where the series came from. So that's really cool in and of itself, because that finally added in a worthwhile arcade mode other than just the story, because the arcade sucked. It was really bad, and there was nothing to really do on it. This actually fixed that problem. On top of that, they added in a whole co-op mode where you can play with a couple of friends or a couple of random people online. You go around, you take command posts, you fight waves and waves of enemies coming at the command posts. There's a handful of maps on it so far. I don't know if there will be more or not. But this is a whole new game mode in the game pretty much 3 years after launch. This game launched in 2016. And there was nothing there. And they've been supporting it this whole time, making free stuff for it, which is pretty incredible.
And it's what they said they were going to do when they announced the game. They said the season pass is all going to be free. You're going to get free content consistently. And they've actually stuck to that, which is great. And it was crazy because I recently, I think within the last week, was looking at re-downloading it. I was like, well, I'll try it again. There's this new content coming out. Let's see what it is. It was like 100 gigabytes of content to download, was how big the game is now. So it's gotten to a point where they've added so much content in. It's crazy. It's a massive game. And I think it's really cool that they're bouncing back from, obviously, it was a tough time for Star Wars at that point because The Last Jedi did not really get received well in a lot of areas. There were some places where it did, other places that it did not. I didn't really enjoy it. You didn't really enjoy it. And then this game also tacked onto that, I think, a bit. So it was just not a great place for Star Wars. And now I think with it rebounding, adding all this cool content, it's building up for the Rise of Skywalker, which hopefully does really well. I think it's a good, I guess, move back into the positive spotlight for the Star Wars brand, because they're just looking to appease the fan base, which is a good thing, I think. They're looking back at the fan base and not just focusing on their wallets.
Yeah, and with The Last Jedi, it was a weird time because I thought that was such a mixed bag. There were, not to get into that, but there were things I liked in the movie, more things I didn't than things I liked. And then the issue with Battlefront 2 was happening, and it just felt bad. It was just a weird time for the franchise. And now that they've gone back, and they're even appealing to the old expanded universe and things that have become canon in the Clone Wars, they brought in an enforcer class, which is the Republic Commando, which is really cool because the Republic Commandos were pretty much introduced in the Republic Commando video game back on the original Xbox and PC, which was a first-person shooter tactical game where you played as these elite commando units. Now you can play as them in the game, the Clone Commandos. They're there as a reinforcement, and they're pretty cheap. They're 1,000 battle points, so very easy to come in as them and play. They're very good. They're really doing a lot of fan service with this. And with that content that they're teasing with the Rise of Skywalker, we don't know what it is yet, but it's likely to be a planet and some skins. And honestly, that's enough. They've added in so much stuff to this game. It's just really cool. And I think this is how you bounce back from failure in a way like something like Anthem really hasn't even tried to do yet. Because Anthem has had one big public event since its big disastrous launch, where it launched incomplete and not done. Another EA problem, by the way. And they've just kind of left it. And they recently scrapped the entire content roadmap for Anthem. Like, they threw it out and they said, we don't know what we're doing. And that's a paraphrase. But they threw it out and said, we're not sticking to that because we can't. So people don't know what they're doing. But something like this, and actually No Man's Sky, where they came back and revamped it into a totally different game, this is how you actually operate in good faith. And yes, maybe you lost sales this time, but people are going to look back next time you make a game, and they're going to be like, oh, they actually put effort in after that problem.
And hopefully have learned. And the people that have stuck around and are still playing this game are really going to appreciate that. I think it definitely turned a lot of people off from a potential Battlefront 3, but they're working to recreate that image in a more positive light. And I think that if they keep doing what they're doing, and they make a quality, like Rise of Skywalker is received well, and they keep building on this content that they keep producing for Battlefront 2, a Battlefront 3 could be seen in a positive light again and not just shot down like, oh, here we go, more microtransactions and more pay-to-win EA logic, essentially, is how it's seen. And EA is seen as a very negative company. So for them to kind of start doing things that doesn't necessarily benefit them monetarily, but benefits their image, is smart and is going to make the fans happy. And I hope that they keep going that way, and not just this game, but other games as well. But it's good to see for the Star Wars brand.
I do too, because I really did feel bad for the Anthem player base, because there were players that really enjoyed it at launch, and it was just dead on arrival. And that feeling sucks if you're a fan of something that you know can be more. It's not right now, but it could be. Everyone else leaves because it's not, and then you're kind of sitting there like, well, should I even stay or not? That's the position people were in with Battlefront for a long time, and surprisingly, it's a game worth playing now. So, honestly, not a sponsored video or anything. If you don't have Battlefront at all, and you're a fan of Star Wars, Battlefront 2, and you're a fan of Star Wars, I think it's worth the $20 now. It's $20. You get all this free content that you can mess around in. Even just for the single-player campaign, it's, to me, worth that $20.
And honestly, it does go on sale pretty frequently. So, I mean, with Black Friday, other stuff coming up,
you could get it cheaper.
It goes down way farther. I think I might have gotten mine for 10 or less. So, I got a digital copy because I can't find my disc for some reason. But it goes down for really cheap, and with all of the 100 or more gigabytes of content that you get now, it's a good-looking game. It's not pay to win anymore. So it functions on a nice foundation that if it would have had at launch, I think it would have been a really, really well-received game. So It took a while to get here, but you are now, I feel, getting a complete Star Wars game that is actually quality and not focused on getting money out of your wallet.
And if you didn't trade in your copy and you had one and you did not trade it in, I do think it is worth jumping back in to try it. If you try it for, 2 hours or whatever, and you're still like, I don't enjoy this, fine. But I think it's a very enjoyable experience now for the price, or even if you were someone who got out of it. Because I quit playing it. I would say I stuck with it a couple months after it launched, and it was just pretty bad, like as far as being bare bones. Eventually stopped. I had platinumed it by that time because it was easy to platinum, and I had hit the level cap. And it's fun enough to me now that I am at the level cap of the main, leveling system. I still go in and play it just for fun. I don't care. It's just fun. And that's what Battlefront always was a fun way to kill time and, shoot around in the Star Wars universe. And I think it's kind of back to that. So guys, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Do you play Battlefront 2? Were you someone who played it at launch, hated it, and you're turned off to it? Are you thinking about coming back now that there's all this free content, or are you just, gone forever? All responses are fair game. Please let us know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe for more content, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.